Here are 10 duologues from contemporary plays with 2 American characters, one male and one female. These will be perfect if you're American, obviously. If you're working on a general American accent, they'll also be great for scene studies, showcases and assessments. You can use the chapters to save time finding the duologue you like. On Mac, hold Option and press right arrow, or on Windows, hold Control and press right arrow for a nifty keyboard shortcut to jump to the next chapter. And at the end of the video, I'll tell you how you can read and get hold of these scenes. Right, let's go. Him and Her from Camp Siegfried by Bess Wohl. This is scene 1. Start on page 3 at his line, there's punch, and stop at the end of the scene on page 10 at his line, must be fate. The notes at the start of this play are really helpful. The play takes place in the summer of 1938 at Camp Siegfried. Camp Siegfried was a German-American summer camp located in Yaphank on Long Island. It operated from 1936 to 1941, and his dialogue is in italics, hers is in standard type. She is 16 and he is 17, and this is a classic boy meets girl scene with chattiness, friendliness, and a dash of flirting too. They're in a German-style dance hall with loud music playing, which makes hearing and understanding one another difficult. She's timid and curious, he's confident and talkative. It's a fun and lively little scene. Rosie and Charlie from the 47th by Mike Bartlett. This is in Act 2, Scene 2. Start on page 39 at Charlie's line, very patriotic, and stop on page 43 at Charlie's line, I miss Mum and Dad too. This play is set in 2024 and Rosie and Charlie are siblings, both tied to Donald Trump's re-election campaign. Rosie works for Ivanka Trump and Charlie is a Democratic reporter. Here the two are at a party after a rally and they're seeing each other for the first time in a while. They bicker and quibble and their relationship explores both the familial and the political. Anthony and Caroline from I and You by Lauren Gunderson. This is the start of the play. Start on page 7 at Anthony's line, I and this mystery, here we stand, and stop on page 13 at Anthony's line, trying desperately to be friends with you. Caroline and Anthony are 17, and he's just burst into her bedroom unannounced. Caroline is panicked, scared, and angry. Anthony is calm and kind and has come over to do his American literature project with her, which is due in tomorrow. The scene journeys from a frantic, high-energy opening to a calmer, more connected second section. There's one line from Mum, which is spoken off stage, that you can easily cut. Rose and Avery from The Flick by Annie Baker. This is in Act 1, Scene 8. Start on page 53 at Rose's line, so what do you want to do? And stop on page 57 at Rose's line, come on. Rose is 24 and Avery is 20, and they work together in a cinema or movie theatre. It's the end of the night and they're staying late for a date, movie night, hangout sort of thing. Both Rose and Avery are socially awkward. Avery is very introverted and Rose is very extroverted, and they're fantastic characters to explore. Elias and Jenny from John by Annie Baker. This is Act 2, Scene 2. Start on page 72 at Jenny's line, Feel My Hands, and stop on page 78 at Jenny's line, You Shouldn't. Elias is 29 and Jenny is 21, and they're struggling to stay together. They're staying in a bed and breakfast in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and it's late. Elias has recently found out about John, a guy Jenny's been with, and he begins to query how many times she was with him. It's a tense, subtext-filled scene that feels threatening, scary, and ominous. Ralph and Dawn from White Noise by Suzan-Lori Parks. This is in Act 2, Scene 5. Start on page 88 at Ralph's line, yes, 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 and stop at the end of the scene on page 96 at Ralph's line, do you recycle these? Ralph and Dawn are friends, and they're at Ralph's venue that has a shooting gallery in it. They discuss work and life and the provocative project that Ralph is working on with his friend Leo involving voluntary enslavement. Dawn is drinking hard and the pair are shooting targets, and their closeness develops into sex. I suggest you cut the sex section in the middle to make it more practical, and the scene works just as well. Cassie and Brian from Walden by Amy Berryman. This is at the start of Act 2. Start on page 36 at Brian's line, Isn't it great? And stop on page 42 at Cassie's line, No, it's funny, it's true. This play is set in the near future in the American wilderness, and this scene takes place outside a cabin. Brian lives here with Cassie's sister, Stella, and Cassie has returned from a NASA mission working on the colonization of the moon. Cassie and Brian have opposing views on how to save the planet. They discuss, debate, and bond over their separate journeys. The whole of the act is a brilliant duologue for the pair, and this central section is a nice and concise bit to work on. Edwin and Marcia from Our Lady of 121st Street by Stephen Adly Guirgis. This is in Act 1, Scene 5. In this 3 plays collection, start on page 35 at Edwin's line, I'm Edwin Velasquez, and stop at the end of the scene on page 41. Edwin and Marcia are in a funeral home waiting room, waiting for the service of their former teacher, Sister Rose. Marcia has allergies and asthma and is scolding Edwin for smoking inside. They argue, Marcia collapses, they cuddle and grow close. It's a fast, ridiculous, comedic scene, and this play is set in Harlem, New York, so New York accents will work perfectly with this text. John and Sam from Armadillo by Sarah Kosar. This is in Scene 5. Start on page 22 at John's line, babe, stop it, and stop on page 26 at John's line, if you sit there any longer. John and Sam are a young married couple, and their obsession with guns has resulted in John accidentally shooting Sam. In this scene, they play with Nerf guns as a way of weaning themselves off real ones, and they talk about Sam being abducted when she was younger. They compare Sam's story to a present-day kidnapping that she's fixated by. It's a playful, childish, and weird little scene. Both of these characters are deeply disturbed and coping with trauma in strange and troubling ways. They're fantastically complex to tackle. Sarah and Elston from Disappeared by Phyllis Nagy. This is Scene 4. In this 2-play collection, start on page 65 at Sarah's line, I'm sorry mister, and stop at the end of the scene on page 72 at Elston's line, and not in coincidence, don't you? Sarah works at her uncle's travel agency and she's helping Elston find a holiday. On the surface it seems like a harmless interaction, but Elston is disguised and seemingly stalking her. This is a scintillating scene that simmers and has a staggering creepiness to it. Sarah is confident and friendly, and Elston is mentally manipulative and a bit bizarre. There's a ton of subtext and psychology to explore with these characters. And there we go, 10 American Duologues. To read these scenes, you'll need the playtexts that they're from. These plays are available on Drama Online, a digital subscription service available to education institutions. Or you can order the plays from the publishers, Faber & Faber, Nick Hearn Books, Bloomsbury, and Farrar, Straus and Giroux. You can also get them on Amazon, and don't miss out on some second-hand bargains on eBay. If you're in London, you can visit the National Theatre Bookshop on the South Bank, the Royal Court Bookshop at Sloane Square, Foyles on Charing Cross Road, Waterstones on Piccadilly, and the Calder Bookshop by Waterloo. These all have extensive collections of playtexts to browse and buy. And that's it. If this video's helped you, it will really help me if you can hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel too. Finally, have a look at these other videos that I've put up on the screen that I think you'll like. Thanks for watching, and all the best.